big 60 FPS debate has once again cropped up after this tweet came out from Detective Seeds on Twitter a couple of days ago. I had seen the tweet, but I thought it was just so reeking of like, yeah right, that I didn't bother actually covering it. But because people keep asking about it, and I kinda more so want to debunk it and really share my skepticism about it, I figured let's dive into it. And while I personally think that he might be true, but also might very much not be, based on what we know from people who are in the know regarding technology with the PlayStation 5 and also even the GTA franchise and Rockstar themselves. The tweet reads as follows: GTA 6 has been and continues to hit 60 FPS while being optimized for the PS5 Pro on multiple graphical settings. PlayStation engineers are assisting with the optimization due to the new tech being implemented and rolled out with a target date of May 2026. Very convenient. They are also assisting with several other Rockstar titles that are rolling out in the near future, pre-PS5 Pro 2026 update. As of right now, 60 FPS is being achieved on the PS5 Pro only. This could obviously change before release. It is anticipated that GTA 6 will have multiple graphical options on the PS5 Pro on release. Also, the Rockstar and PlayStation marketing deal is what's allowing and also encouraging this collaboration on optimization. Should see several PlayStation and GTA 6 bundles in the next marketing push. This info is from a PlayStation engineer who has provided highly accurate and verified information several times in the past. My main issue with this particular person in question is because I've seen multiple people say about the fact that he's been banned from Reddit and leak forums in the past, given the fact that his information has been proven to be completely BS. There is a statement from him regarding that very fact, which is the following. Just FYI, one of the head mods on there wrote a false article about me when my Twitter and YouTube were illegally accessed, stating I deleted it. After calling them out publicly, I was banned on there 2 days later. I've never posted on there, so it had no effect on me. Take that for as you will, but you know, given the fact that I've heard someone within my community make those statements who is very much in the know about, like, you know, leaks and that sort of stuff, I would be more inclined to be skeptical about this because I've heard it from a PlayStation engineer that I just so happen to be a friend with for 30 years. It seems like a little far-fetched to me, especially considering my reasons why I am skeptical, which is coming from the folks over at Digital Foundry.
I don't think, like, for cutscenes, what they could do, like, they just keep them at 30 and they turn on extra features for them. Games have done that since for
That's a good
ever.
point.
But you can't get rid of RTGI. It's inherent to the way the game works. Even getting rid of RT reflections potentially could make scenes look quite a bit different if the game was artistically designed around them. And they're all throughout the trailer here, so they obviously have made them as a part, you know, a purpose part of the gameplay. And, you know, as soon as you have RTGI, a massive open world, those 10 things tend to not run well at 60 FPS.
I'll leave a link in the description down below if you want to see the full clip, but Digital Foundry has been consistent with them not being entirely sure whether or not 60 FPS is possible. They're more leaning towards the yeah, nah, rather than the yeah, that's going to happen. Another reason for my skepticism is Obbe Vermeij, who is the former technical director all the way up until GTA 4 at Rockstar Games. When asked on a podcast, which, by the way, definitely very much worth a listen with a lot of very interesting and cool insight about behind the scenes and as well how the games were being made, had the following to say about the whole 60 FPS debate.
It'll be 30 frames per second, right? There's no way they could run that at 60. You don't think, do you?
I have no idea. If they have to sacrifice the frame rate for stuff on screen, visual fidelity, they will definitely do that. So I would guess it probably will be 30. It's like a curse; you just can't get rid of it. You know, it's just, everybody say, "Oh, I'll make it 60 then," but you always get to this point where it's a trade-off between, you know, all right, okay, with like, you know, if you have 10 characters on screen in the street, it just doesn't look full enough. You have like, I have to have 50, and the price you pay for it is that your frame rate drops a bit. So it would probably be a sensible choice to pick 30, but maybe they have some magic and they can make it 60.
As you can clearly tell by both Digital Foundry and Obbe, we can just clearly tell that they're more leaning towards Rockstar is more inclined to lean towards visual fidelity and making sure that the streets and everything feels alive, rather than having a game being running in 60 FPS. Most of us are now used to 60 FPS games, and having the option for a performance mode, in my opinion, would be preferred. I am more than happy to take less reflections, less of everything, if that means that I can play the game in 60 FPS. I'm sure there's gonna be plenty of you that are like, I'm fine with 30, I'd rather have the game look as amazing as it possibly can, but personally, having played basically every game in 60 FPS or higher over the past few years at this point, 30 FPS just feels like crap. Sure, you can get used to it. Sure, you can decide like, hey, this is the only way we can play GTA 6. And if it just so happens to be the case that 30 FPS is the only way we can play GTA 6 until the PC version comes out, probably like a year or so afterwards, we're just gonna have to deal with it. I'm not gonna be happy about it, I'll have plenty to say about it, but at the end of the day, I'm sure Rockstar is aware of the fact that the majority of people do play on performance mode, and they can probably also tell from their own data where they can see how many people are using performance mode in GTA 5 versus fidelity, which I'd be kind of curious actually to see how many of you play on performance versus on fidelity, so let me know down below. But I would be personally assuming that most people play on performance, especially after years and years of playing in a 30 FPS.
When asked to decide on a mode, players are choosing performance about 3/4 of the time.
I know that the statement of like, but we want performance mode and we want 60 FPS is like maybe a little bit snobby to some of you, but the main reason why people would want to have a performance mode or 60 FPS is simply because the game feels a lot more responsive. If you haven't played GTA 5 in 30 FPS for a while, there is always just this slight delay and it doesn't quite feel as snappy, right? The game feels less enjoyable to play, it feels less responsive. That is typically what happens at least in GTA 5, because as far as I am aware, the way that they achieved said 30 FPS is by putting the VSync to half, which basically means that every input that you do has a slight delay to it. I know this is probably something that not many more casual players are going to notice, but it's something that I guess I've gotten used to over the years, and really would appreciate the fact that even though they might not hit a consistent 60 FPS, at the very least, just let it be higher than 30, right? Just allow us to just get rid of all the reflections and that sort of stuff so we can like have a more responsive and a smoother experience within the game, because I think that will be something that a lot of us will appreciate. Like Alba said in the clip that I showed earlier, Rockstar would much rather have 50 people on the street in 30 FPS than 25 people on the street with 60 FPS, because they will care more about that as a developer and their vision for GTA 6 rather than, you know, the 60 FPS that some of us will want. But either way, I'm still holding up hope to potentially see that performance mode appear within GTA 6, because, you know, it would make the game a lot more enjoyable to play, especially for those folks like myself that, while I like pretty graphics and cool details and stuff like that, I'd be willing to sacrifice that for a smoother gameplay experience, because to me, gameplay is always going to be king. Regardless, those are some of my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments down below. Thank you all so very much for watching, and I'll see you all later.